Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, the comedians that perform here, and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what helps make up our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Dawn Davis Womack.
Hello, Laughers. I'm excited to introduce you to radio DJ Brandy for the Q101 morning show at Harrisonburg Radio Group. Originally from Virginia Beach, Brandy moved to the Valley 9 years ago and has been with Q101 ever since. When she's not at work, you can find her playing guitar at local bars, binge watching whatever TV show she is currently obsessed with on Hulu or Netflix, or enjoying the massage chairs at Planet Fitness more than she probably should because, as she says, she's single. You can catch her on her radio dial every weekday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can also find her on Facebook, Instagram, eHarmony, and Farmers Only. It's great to have you on today, Brandy. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, no problem. I hope you don't mind me. I'm actually doing this from the massage chairs at Planet Fitness.
You are.
I'm kidding. I'm not there. I have a restraining order. So.
You have a restraining order from the massage chairs or the people at Planet Fitness?
Let's just say that I enjoy the chairs a lot.
Okay, good. So everybody out there, Laughers, you know exactly where to find her. She'll be on those chairs. Oh, it's so great to have you on today. I have to start with this question. What is it that you are currently obsessed with on Hulu or Netflix?
And so now you've got Disney Plus, and I will use this time to shout out all my friends that let me use their passwords because I don't pay for any of it.
Good friends.
Broke radio DJ. Yeah. Right now there's two that I'm really into. So I have my wind down shows. If I'm just trying to watch something when I go to sleep, it might be like Family Guy or some kind of, murder investigation show. I know it seems weird.
Like, are you into CSI? I love CSI.
No, so I like the real life ones, like Homicide Hunter, Detective Joe Kinda, where like he's trying solving real murders and stuff. Like actually, I watch that stuff when I'm going to bed, which I know sounds weird, but
there's a whole genre of reality murder TV shows. There's
an entire network.
Oh my gosh.
The Investigation Discovery Network, yeah.
I have seen Investigation Discovery. I didn't realize that was what it was all about. Okay.
Yeah. There's When Women Kill, it's a whole show about women that have murdered people. There's Who the Bleep Did I Marry, where people find out that the person they married is an ex serial killer, or I guess not an ex. I guess I don't think you can be an ex serial killer.
No, I don't think so, but I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know how that world works, thankfully.
I don't either, but if I ever need to do something to a husband, I've got some ideas on what to do and not to do. This is not going to help me find love.
No, it's not. No, men listening, don't be worried. Don't be worried. She's fantastic. Yeah. I really enjoy listening to you in the mornings. You're one of my favorite radio DJs out there. How does one become a radio DJ? Tell us your story.
Yeah. Honestly, just kind of fell into it. If you had told me, I guess maybe even 10 or so years ago that this is what I was going to be doing as a profession, I would have been like, oh, okay, but that was never the plan. Always grew up listening to the radio, always, called in and requested songs and stood, by my cassette tape or my cassette player ready to, record whatever song was coming on the radio. But I just kind of fell into it. When I went to college, I went to Radford University, and the first weekend at any college, they always have some kind of open forum for all the incoming freshmen to kind of see what different clubs and stuff are going on. And so I went to one of those. They had all the clubs in the quad, and I went to the radio club table and thought that'd be pretty cool. I could learn how to do radio. And they said if you worked hard enough, all the students would get their own hour long show to just kind of play whatever music they wanted to. So I thought that would be fun, just being a music lover. And so I joined the radio club my freshman year of college, and ended up kind of working my way up into in different positions there. And when I graduated, it was during the 2008 recession. So moved back in with my parents, couldn't find a job anywhere because, they were like, oh, well, you have a degree, so you probably want to get paid a crap ton of money. And I was like, I just want a job. I don't care. So I decided to do what I knew, and I applied. I applied for a part-time radio gig at Z104 in Virginia Beach, which is a station that I grew up listening to. And I got a call back that they were looking for some part-timers. And so I started doing that. I was doing the graveyard shift, midnight to 6 a.m., which actually it's funny because now I work 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and I could handle the midnight to 6 much easier than the waking up to do the early morning shift. But I did that for part-time for 2.5 years. And again, kind of worked in different departments. I did on air, I did promotions, I did some of the commercial trafficking and things like that. And it finally got to a point where I said, you know what, you need to get a big girl job. So either, go get a 9-to-5 that you're not really going to enjoy, or try to get a full-time radio gig. And I just got very fortunate that right a month before I was about to give up, I got the job here in Harrisonburg for middays on Q101. And now I've been here for almost 10 years. So that's my story, but they're all very different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like it was meant to be then, if you were about to just give up. Well, had you been at it a while? Why was it you were about ready to give up? What was it about? What was happening that you were at that point?
Well, so again, working part-time, I think I was only getting paid like $8.50 or something like that an hour. They were trying to give me as many hours as they could, which I was very grateful. They all really enjoyed me, but with it being a bigger market, so Virginia Beach is a top 50 market, and that's where a lot of people in radio want to end up. But with those markets, they won't give you a full-time gig unless someone gets fired, someone quits, or you have 2.5 years experience. So the only way to get a job there would have been for there to be an opening. And that wasn't going to happen. And the only way to get a job in another big market was to have the 2.5 to 3 years experience. And I wasn't going to get that full-time experience unless I went somewhere else. So I had given myself kind of all right, by the end of the year, if you don't find something, then you need to do something else, because I was getting tired of living with my parents also.
Yep. I'm a big girl.
Yeah. So that's where I gave myself that deadline. And like you said, I guess it was just meant to be, because within a month of what my deadline goal was, I got this job. So.
Well, I'm glad it worked out and that you are with us now. It's really, I enjoy spending time with you every time I get a minute to do that. And I have been excited about this interview because your life is fascinating to me. I mean, what does a typical day look like for you as a morning DJ? In other words, what ungodly hour do you have to wake up every morning?
I wake up at 4.
Wow.
And that's if I don't hit snooze like 15 times, which usually happens. Okay. I actually have an alarm that like starts at like 3:30, and I hit snooze several times until finally I'm up. But I only live 7 minutes away from the radio station. We have people in that building that live, in places like Broadway and Edinburgh, which are 20 to 30, 40 minutes away. So they wake up even earlier than I do, and I couldn't do it. Wow. Lots of coffee.
Yeah, lots of coffee. Do you have one of those alarms that is like, or is it music? What is your alarm?
It's music, actually.
Okay.
I can.
Yes.
Yeah, I can pull it up for you.
Everybody, this is behind the scenes. Now, when you hear Brandy in the mornings, you will know what she wakes up to every morning to share music with you. This is great.
So this is my alarm. You hear that?
Yeah.
I just want something,
Is it? It's like Zen a little bit. Is it Zen music, kind of?
Well, it's whatever's programmed in the phone. It's called Pluto.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't do I don't want to. I'm already angry enough that I'm waking up that early in the morning. I can't have an alarm that is like dun, 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 because then it would make me even more mad waking up. So I have to have something kind of like your mom rubbing your back to wake you up in the morning or something like that. Like that's kind of what that music feels like to me.
Okay. And about
like
your
wake up.
Wake up. It's gonna be a good day. Yeah, I like that. That's good zen. How about your coffee? Are you go to Starbucks on your way to work? You have coffee you make at home? Are you a creamer girl?
Nothing's open when I wake up in the morning.
I know. What am I thinking? I'm on the normal schedule. I lost my mind for a minute. Yeah.
So luckily, those guys I mentioned that have to travel a little farther, they get to the station before I do. Okay. So someone usually has already made a pot of coffee. But there's usually 3 or 4 pots are made before the show is done at 10 o'clock.
Wow. That's a lot of coffee. Guys should get stock in something. I don't know. Open up a coffee shop right there, business probably. I don't know.
I have one coworker that he doesn't do coffee, but he does caffeine mints, which have you ever had one of those?
No, I've never heard of that. Have you tried it?
They taste horrible. If you think you're going to, have fresh breath before making out with somebody with one of those, don't. The caffeine mints are horrible. But they do work.
Okay. All right.
Because I took one, he gave me one to try and I took it and I was like, oh, this is horrible. I'm never doing this again. And it doesn't even work. And then 5 minutes later, I realized I couldn't stop tapping my feet. So I was like, okay, yeah, I guess it does work.
Yeah. So is it one and done for you?
Yeah, that was it. That was it. I'll go back to coffee.
All right. I'm glad you gave me that warning. So I won't even one and done. So I'm not about that. What do you like most and what do you like least about being a radio DJ?
Least? Probably the getting up early. That's the only thing I don't like about doing the morning show. When people ask me what it's like doing that is the only con that I can think of, is just getting up that early. I think the thing I like the best is the listener interaction. Especially with us being in a situation where we are very much local, and we get to go out to different events and get to meet different people. And I've been here long enough now to a point where I really have become kind of bragging, but I really am a celebrity. Mm-hmm. But no, I have kind of become a local celebrity, and it's being in a room by yourself. You don't know who's listening to you or how many people are listening to you. And so when people recognize you from a Facebook post that you did on the station's page, or they're like, oh, you were giving your co-host so much heck the other day, things like that. It's like, all right, well, obviously what we're doing is connecting. Yes. And it's engaging, because otherwise no one would have a clue who I was. Exactly. It's not about, I don't think it's about longevity. I mean, yes, the longer you're at a place, the more people will know you, but I don't think those people would be listening just to listen, especially now that there's so many different ways to listen to music. Mm-hmm. So the fact that people are still listening to the radio and they're listening for the morning show, that's a nice reward for sure.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, because I've been to the radio station. It is a small room, you and Nick in there with your equipment, and you are talking to the listeners and talking to each other. There's, of course, not that visibility. And I hadn't really thought about that before. When you get out in the community, you realize how much connection is really happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. See, I knew this was going to be so fun. I'm learning something new right now. Q101 is a contemporary hits radio station. We are wondering, I'm sure the laughers are too, what is the process of deciding what gets played? Is there a meeting? How does this work?
I wish there was a physical meeting, but there isn't. I mean, there's no meeting per se, but I think as far as radio formats go, I probably have it the easiest on a station like Q101, with it being a top 40 station. That means that basically we play the hits. So your artists that you know are going to be big. Like right now, that's your Dua Lipas and your Ariana Grandes. Those are the artists that we play. A lot of it's really just based on the different radio stations and what they're playing. You know, New York, LA, the big markets. A lot of it goes to what is streaming, YouTube wise. The music videos, Billboard Hot 100, that is kind of what we use as a guideline. And they factor in all of that stuff. Radio plays, who's watching the music videos on YouTube, who's streaming them on, the streaming sites. So all of that goes into play with whether or not a song's going to be a hit. And that's kind of how we decide what to play. So for me, it's pretty easy. You have other stations that don't have it quite that laid out for them.
So then do you and Nick spend some, or do radio DJs in general, depending on their station, so for you, Contemporary Hits, do you spend time as part of your workday listening to the bigger markets to see what they're playing? Is that part of your job then?
So it's part of my job because I'm also a music director.
Okay.
For the station. So music director, they're the ones that basically tell the computer, all right, these songs are this hot. This song is this. I need you to play this song at this point, this song here, a song like this there. And then the computer just runs through and kind of throws all of that in. So I do listen to, we listen to other markets for several reasons. One, to hear what music they're playing. A bigger market is going to, they are going to throw out a newer song faster than we would here in Harrisonburg. But also we like to listen to other markets as well to see what other radio DJs are doing. Radio is all about, if you don't always, you see it now in movies too. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel. You can borrow and take stuff from different shows. So that's another reason that we listen to other shows as well to see what other places are doing and see if we can do something like that with our show or if it's something that we can bring here to the Valley.
Okay. Yeah, that's really a neat process. And you said something that also piqued my interest. So there has to be, I guess, a person that's programming a list of songs that you're telling them to play to put in the computer. Did I hear that right? So there's a person that has that job at the radio station? Yeah.
So everything has an abbreviation in radio.
Yeah.
We'd call them the MDs, the music directors. But yeah, they are every station has a music director. And that is the person that is going through and looking at the charts and saying, okay, we need to play this many songs. So, this is, this song is old, so we're going to get rid of this. And this song's new, so we're going to throw that in. And then, there's different computer software systems. There's in radio, Music Master and RCS Selector are the main two. Kind of like your Zoom or your Google Meets and things like that. But it's like that for music programming for radio. And you go in and you basically say, all right, these are the songs that I want here. These are the songs I want there. And then the computer goes through and schedules the day and you look at it and make sure that it's right. And that's how it works.
Okay. And then the time that you talk to each other, you and Nick, that's part of like a program piece of time in that list.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yep. It sets everything up so that you have music and then you have your talk breaks is what we call them. Okay. And then it also connects with another set of software that is coming from the commercial traffic end, so that it meets with, because we have someone that programs the commercials as well. So the music meets with the commercials, and that's how you get a day's log of radio.
Wow.
There's a lot of moving parts.
I like it though. I never really realized all that was involved and that I don't know, just in my mind, maybe I'm the only one. I thought like you and Nick did the whole thing. There's a bigger team behind all of that to make it happen. It sounds like for every radio show, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I mentioned the listener interaction, and sometimes we'll do station tours. Obviously, this past year we haven't been able to do quite as many, but that's one of the things I like to share with people, especially when we have younger kids come in, because a lot of people only get the on-air side is the glamorous side of it. But there's so many other parts that make radio, depending on what is your I guess your best attributes. Right. obviously radio has to make money. So we have salespeople that are really good at doing that.
Yeah.
We have traffic, which is not normally people would think traffic would be like, oh, there's an accident here and an accident there. Traffic is actually, that is the person that makes sure that sales gets those commercials in so that they're ready to go, so that we can air them, so that they can play. We have production. They're the people that put the commercials together. We have engineer and IT. So the engineer makes sure that, the stations are running, the towers are good and everything, the signals are fine. And then IT makes sure that all the computers are working. And again, IT and engineer usually work hand in hand, if not being the same person, because like I mentioned, I'm programming everything on a computer, but if that computer is not working and that signal is not working from the tower, then we aren't going to be heard. Mm-hmm. So there's so many different things you can do in radio aside from just being on air.
Besides being the radio personality.
Right.
Yeah. How many people work on Q101 then?
On air or just all together?
All together, yeah.
We have 4 on air, but then, so I kind of do a lot for the station. I am on air, music director, and program director. Okay. So program director is basically in charge of the station. I do air checks with the other talent. That's where we go through and listen to their shows and say, all right, you did this great. Here's maybe something you should switch up a little bit, or maybe try this. I'm in charge of, again, I'd go to the music director and say, if there was something going on with the music, I'd be like, maybe don't do that song, something like that. But luckily I don't have to argue with myself. So that works out pretty well.
You win all those arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with our traffic and production and sales, they all have a hand in Q101, but they are more so geared for all the stations we have in our building. We have 8 different stations in our building. So those salespeople are selling for all of them. It's just a matter of what best fits the client.
Wow. And you guys got quite the team going. It's really impressive.
We are very fortunate. There are a lot of radio companies that don't believe in talent as much as you'd like to see them doing. And so my company, we pride ourselves in actually having people in the building, not having someone that you're hearing on your station that's in New York or some other city. And to have a staff that we have is, you go into some radio buildings and there's 1 or 2 people in there and everyone else is working from somewhere else. So we're very, very lucky.
A community serving our community.
Yeah.
I love that. You are really into music. That's how you got into this job and role. Mm-hmm. And you're doing Q101, which is the contemporary hits. Is there any music that you like best that doesn't typically play on your show?
A lot, yes.
Okay, tell us, share with us. Yes.
Not to say that I don't like the music we play, because I do. There are some artists that I really enjoy, but I tend to go for more of the indie, low key artists that maybe aren't quite as big. In fact, one of my favorite bands, that I've actually been listening to them for I think 6 or so years now, is a band called Glass Animals, and they are on their 3rd album, and we actually just started playing them on Q a couple of months ago. So it's very weird to see them cross over, but it's also funny too, because I saw them live in concert 4 years ago, and I think tickets were like $25. They're playing in Richmond here in a couple of months, and tickets are like $70 or $80.
What?
And I'm like, wow, you guys are too big for me now.
Right? Well, yeah. What kind of music is Glass Animals? What type or genre is it? Can you describe it?
I can't describe it. And if you go to the Wikipedia page, it literally just has like so many, like they could be considered indie or like electro pop. And I think that's the music that I like, that it's just so hard to explain. That it's great. Glass Animals. I've been listening to an artist named Maggie Rogers. She actually just won Best New Artist at the Grammys a couple years ago. I listen to so much. I have my phone on. I pay $10 for the YouTube Music, and I just So I can listen to any album I want to, and I just I put my let's see.
Okay, what do we got?
Let's just give you some of what I've got on my shuffle right now.
Oh,
because this is going to be the easiest way to explain this.
Okay.
So what I've been listening to recently, Doja Cat, which we do actually play on my station. And I also like a lot of older stuff too. Tate McRae is a good one. Santi Gold, she's awesome. But then as I'm looking through this, I also have found myself, like I said, liking older stuff. Like I've got some Beastie Boys on here.
There we go. Now see,
Santana.
I recognize that name.
The Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
Tonic, Nina Simone, Sarah Bareilles, The Weeknd, Milky Chance. Like now I'm just naming bands because Churches. Yeah. It's I'm all over the place.
You are all over the place. A little bit of eclectic interest there. You just enjoy music in general.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any music you don't like?
I'm not the biggest fan of country.
Really?
And it depends on the country. I'm very much into singer-songwriters. So when it comes to like a Maren Morris, or a Miranda Lambert or a Casey Musgraves, I love them. But your typical, and we're going to have a beer. I'm not really into that kind of country.
It's not working for you.
No.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, although I would like to have a beer, but no, when they sing about it, not so much.
So then I don't know about that farmers only single cipher.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work.
I don't know.
Work out.
Although opposites attract, so who knows?
That tends to be my forte is opposites for sure.
That's right. Well, a lot of people's forte. Usually, that's who you marry. So I don't know. I guess the jury's out. We'll follow you and see how farmers only works out. All right. For you. In the meantime, we still have more we want to find out from you. Q101 goes out to different events around the Valley. What is the funnest event you've ever been a part of?
That's a tough question. I don't know if there's one event that I have ever that's been the most fun. But again, going back to that serving the community, I think I am most like fun stuff is like Valley Fest, where we get to, be out at the Beer and Wine Fest. We get to hang out there, the beverages and also the music. So that's fun events. But I think the most fulfilling events are doing things like Bowl for Kids' Sake with Big Brothers Big Sisters, Great Community Give, which is where it's a day of giving to nonprofits and charities, seeing how much the community comes together and raises, doing things like lip sync battle. I think it's a lot of those things that have components where they help someone else, and seeing people come together. I think those are the most fun events that I've had with the station.
Yeah, those are really great. Our community is wonderful in that way, coming together to serve other people. So I like that answer a lot because it shows not only your heart, but the heart of where we live. That's what makes it really special. So that's amazing. I love that answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see, like I said, like when you see that you've raised this much, and so now this organization they get to keep doing what they've been doing, and knowing that you had a little part in that.
Yeah, making an impact.
Yeah.
Making the world a better place to live, making our, children and families. It's amazing. I love that. Here's a great question that I'm pretty sure a lot of people would love to know what your opinion is on this. Is where do you see the future of radio, given that there are a lot of podcasts and other competing outlets out there now? Where do you see the future of radio?
So that's a very interesting question because, as I mentioned, there are companies that kind of aren't putting their eggs in the basket of local talent. And so because of that, you've seen a loss of jobs in the radio industry. I don't think that means it's dead. I just think that the companies are looking at it the wrong way. because a lot of people are going to podcasting now, and you have to think if podcasting is becoming so popular, that's what we were already doing. We're just adding music or whatever to it. So I think it means that radio has to keep up and transform. I think is maybe the way to put it. And it's not just being a radio DJ is not just talking anymore. That's why we try to do more videos on Facebook, social things like that. What can you do to keep someone a part of the family when you're not on the air? What other ways can you connect with them? And I mean, that's what podcasting is doing. They're doing what we've been doing. They're adding things to it, like video. And you're seeing a lot of radio people going into podcasting because they think, well, I'm already doing this, so why don't I do it on my own terms? So I think that both grow. And I also think that maybe because of this invested interest in podcasts and them growing, I mean, because it's only going to get bigger from here. Even though it seems like everyone has a podcast, it's still a very small group, and it's only going to get wider. And I think that maybe some of that focus goes back to radio, because not everyone wants to talk, but not everyone can do it. And not everyone can talk and keep someone's attention. So I kind of wonder if maybe this is actually good for radio, and if it maybe makes some of these companies that have, gotten rid of jobs and let people go, maybe go back to focusing on, okay, it actually is about the personalities, that we hire and help to grow.
That's true. I agree with that. There's a talent in connecting with other people and having the gift of gab and keeping people engaged. And not everybody has that. We all have wonderful talents. It's just, we don't all have them all, Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite quotes. My boss got me a no F's to give calendar.
No F's to give.
Yeah, I can't say the word.
Oh yeah, PG-13.
Right. But so each day is like it's some different thing. And one of the days it said, if it was easy, then anyone would do it. Yeah. And I think that's true. I think a lot of people think they can do a lot of things, but not everyone can do everything they set out to be. And it's okay to try it, and you get a good experience, but you have to really be invested and to continue it. And so I think that's where you're also going to see the people that really enjoy it, keeping with it. And then you're going to see people that maybe do a podcast for 2 months and then they kind of done. Right, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of podcasts will fall off after 6 or 7, and they'll as I was putting this one together, the advice that kept coming up with people that are ahead of me and been doing it a lot longer was that's what happens. So you want to stay 6 to 7 recordings ahead, because life happens and you go on vacation or someone gets sick. And if you want to not get to a place where you're stressed, like, oh no, you only recorded 7, but you don't stay ahead, then that's how it falls off. Because then people skip a week, and then the next thing it's 2 weeks, and it's 3 weeks, and then the podcast is gone. Yeah. We just dropped episode 13 last week.
Woo, woo.
I know. By the time you hear her, it'll be in the 20s. So we're really excited about where this is going and to have you be a part of it.
I'm glad you had me.
I know, it's so fun. I don't want to just talk about you being a DJ, because you have other talents. You are a musician, a talented one at that. What is your music background and what do you play?
So again, I just have always loved music, and it's kind of led me to all the things that I do. Growing up, I always liked to sing. And so from as long as I can remember, elementary school all the way until I graduated high school, I was in some type of chorus or choir. I did drama, which the singing helped with, because we did musicals and things like that. But I picked up a guitar when I was like 15 or 16. And I told my parents I want to play the drums, and they said those are too loud. So
those are wise parents.
Yeah.
Although I love
so they were like,
yeah,
pick something else and we'll do it. And so I picked the guitar. This was before the days of YouTube. So I got a guitar and Guitar for Dummies. And that's how I taught myself chords. And then when I graduated college, I kind of got into writing my own songs and started playing at open mics and playing different shows. And so that's just something that I have always enjoyed doing. And now I kind of said, you know what? Like, it kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Everyone's got talents. They're not all the same thing. And I feel like if I can sing, this is a talent that I've been given, because no one in my family sings. So that's pretty crazy to have this gift, I guess you would say. So why not share it?
Absolutely. Does anybody play guitar in your family, or are you like the first musician in the family?
So I'm the only one that sings in the family, but my great grandfather, who I did not get to meet because he passed before I was born, but he played guitar actually. So that's kind of cool.
Was he it sounds like you self-taught yourself and haven't really taken classes. Was he self-taught also?
I believe so, but he was much better than me. He played electric guitar actually.
What? Great grandfather played electric guitar?
Yeah.
Great grandfather was cool. What was great grandpa's name?
Great grandfather's name was Jack.
I like why did you say it like that, Jack?
I was trying to make sure.
Oh,
I remember that.
All right, correct.
Because we've talked about him, but he doesn't come up very often. But mostly when we're talking about the music, for sure.
Okay. Did he perform publicly, or was it
just for fun?
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So there is some musical talent. The singing is new. What are your favorite musicians then that have influenced you, and why?
So the whole reason I picked up the guitar was an artist named Michelle Branch. I think she was like 17 or 18 and already like was signed and had her first album. And so getting to see her live, that was kind of when I was like, oh, you know what? Like that seems really cool. Like she's writing her own songs and she's playing guitar. So that was actually kind of what elevated me to even start learning to play the guitar so I could write my own songs and play them. So I think in that aspect, she was a big influence. Not so much in my sound. I kind of would just fiddle around with the guitar and whatever sounded good, and then see if I could maybe write some stuff to it. So she was definitely influential in that. And I listen to so much different stuff that I can't really pinpoint a direct influence, especially because I think a lot of my songs that I have written sound very different. So I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah.
So you're not in a particular style. You're right.
I mean, like I have songs that I feel like sound poppy. I have songs that I feel like sound folky. And then when I'm out doing covers, I do everything from Fleetwood Mac to TLC to Britney Spears to Hanson. So it's all over the place.
Yeah. Your glass animals you like are a little bit all over the place.
Yes.
Maybe that's why you feel
I'm not quite at their level.
Them. Well, sounds like that took them a minute, but they're at a great level. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. And I'm actually, that's the cool thing about being a musician, is that there's always something you can do or change up to kind of, to give you a little something different. I've been playing with guitar this whole time now, and I want to switch it up, but I don't know how to play any other instrument. So I'm actually looking into what is called like a groove box, which is basically like a box that has these different it has different drum beats and different synthesizer beats and things like that. So that's something I'm looking into to maybe get to a Glass Animals level. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'll be there. How do you write what's your songwriting process like? How do you go about doing that? And you keep a notebook, or how do you
Usually,
work that?
yeah, usually there's a notepad nearby. And sometimes it's just fiddling around on the guitar and again, finding some sounds that work and then trying to write something to it. And then sometimes it's just a line kind of pops up in your head. Like you say something or you think something and you're like, huh, that would sound good in the song. And then you kind of write around that. So it's different.
And how much time would you say you spend writing versus playing, or is it like a half and half? What does that look like for you?
I would say right now, because I'm playing out at places, I'm probably spending more time practicing and playing songs than I am writing. That groove box that I mentioned, that's something that I'm hoping will kind of help me lean the other way and do some more writing and some more creating.
Okay. Here's another question. We had asked this of Prophet and Garst, I believe, another, band duo out there, is when you go put your set list together, what is your makeup of covers versus original songs you've written?
It's definitely more covers than it is originals. Mostly because a lot of the originals that it's kind of like, it's kind of like when you see a band that you have been a fan of for years. And at some point they stopped playing the songs that were on their first album, or they stopped playing certain songs. And that's kind of what some of the songs that I wrote became for me. When I was 25 singing them, it was different than me now being 35 and singing them. There was a song I wrote when I was 25 called Quarter Life Crisis, where it was just about how, I was living with my parents and my car was junk, and, I was dealing with a guy that I was off and on with that continually was just a jerk and I shouldn't have been with. And I'm like, now I'm not even in that situation. And every now and then I might pull those songs out for fun, but I don't throw them on my set list for the most part. The original songs that I have kept are ones that they're the ones that I think, like, if I were ever, I'm 35, so I don't have any dreams of being a huge rock star, I think, anymore. But if for some reason something like that were to happen, those originals that I still play, I think those are songs that have legs and could do something and go somewhere. But for the most part, it's mostly covers because I'm playing at, wineries and breweries, and I just want people to have fun. And it's always fun when people are singing along with you.
Yeah. Connecting. Yeah, that's exciting. This is a great segue into our next question is, which would you rather be? One of the world's top media personalities,
Ooh.
or one of the world's top musicians?
How'd I know that was coming?
You just walked right into that.
Yeah.
One. It's beautiful.
Can I say both?
You can say
I
what
mean,
you feel.
Right. There are some people that do that. There's a lot of musicians and actors now that do podcasts because they want to do a little bit of everything. So,
yeah.
And I think maybe I want to say media just because that there's so much in that envelope, that could mean.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me maybe like 10 years ago, I would have said rock star.
The quarter life problems girl.
Yeah,
but okay.
But now, now I'm 35 and, I want to settle down and have a family. And so that doesn't really lend itself very well to the rock star lifestyle.
Yeah, I see that. But if you could have both, you would have your cake and eat it too.
Well, and now after this past year that we've had, it's very easy to do a virtual concert to people in London when you're hanging out here in Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah. Our world is definitely changing. Anything's possible. It will be interesting to see how it's already in transformation right now. And about 5 years from now, when the dust settles, where we end up, it's going to be very interesting. Yeah. Well, this has been really great. Before we head out, we have to let the laughers know how can they follow you on social media or elsewhere to keep up with you and where you're playing around town?
So yeah, I really should streamline my names. You can find me one of two ways.
Okay.
I am on Instagram, and I have a Facebook page that is called Brandy Talks, because that's what I do.
Yeah, exactly what you do.
Yeah. And you can also find me on Facebook at Brandy Lindsay Music. That's mostly, so Brandy Talks is like everything. It's just what's going on in my life, what's happening on the show. But Brandy Lindsay Music is specifically for my music. And that's where you will be able to catch up on any dates that I have, any places that I'm playing. And that's Brandy with a Y, Lindsay with an E.
Right. Lindsey, right?
Yes, because both of my names get misspelled all the time.
I bet. Well, Laughers, we will put that in the show notes for you as well, so you can catch it that way and get the spellings correct. Yes. Well, thank you, Brandy. This has been so fun. I loved rocking out another podcast episode with you. It was really great.
Yes, please have me back.
I would love to have you back. We will
next week.
Maybe not next week, but
okay.
Sometime in the future, I promise you. Yes. And
I'll ask you some would you rather questions.
Okay, that's fair. We can do that. Oh, and your idea, you said in about a year from now, you should switch the role and have someone interview me. You could be that someone. So
I'm there.
All right. See, we just put that on the airwaves, people. We're building history here in the Shenandoah Valley with Brandy from Q101 and Dawn Davis-Womack from X2 Comedy. I heard it right here. So stay tuned, folks. And Laughers, be sure to catch Brandy on the radio weekdays on Q101 from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can also catch her mad guitar playing and singing skills at venues around the valley. Again, we'll be sure to put in the show notes how you can keep up and follow her. Lastly, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in, Laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
I was wondering if I should wave.
It's a Zoom call we're doing. She waved. You want to say bye, Brandy?
Yeah, I guess I should not. Yeah,
bye. Brandy talks. So she just did. All right. Thanks for listening, Laughers. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to an X2 Comedy show or let us bring a show to you. To find out more, head to x2comedy.com. Be sure to share us with a friend. Until next time, cheers.